Hey everybody. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about why my calves are tight. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to change that word from tight to sensation. And I'm going to change that sentence from why are my calves tight to why are my calves telling me that there's a sensation there. Okay, now we've got rid of that word tight because your calves are not telling you that they're tight. You're deciding that tight is the sensation that you're feeling. Now, why am I changing that word? Well, because it's the wrong word. Firstly, it's the wrong word. It's not tight because tight means short. In the human body, tight means short. Now, the sensation that you're feeling is a stretch sensation. It's the same sensation that you feel when you actually do stretch. So if you're getting the same sensation that you get when you stretch, that tells you that they're already stretched. So the word that we should be using there is not tight, it's actually taut. So if you think about when you pull on a rope, you pull that rope taut. You pull it long, you pull it taut. Taut means already stretched out. Now that's the sensation that you're feeling in your calves, and you might be feeling that in your hamstrings as well. So how does that happen? Well, it happens because your posture has been altered. It's been changed. And this is really the reason why posture matters. Posture really does matter. Now, posture doesn't necessarily cause pain. We know research has really shown us and told us that posture doesn't really cause pain. Like there's no one particular posture that causes pain. But what posture does is it causes sensation and it causes altered movement. Now think of posture as a dynamic entity. It's not a static entity. It's a very dynamic, changing, moving entity all the time. Like we're not stuck in one position. We're able to move from flexion to extension, internal rotation to external rotation. All of these different movements we're able to give to some degree, but it might be that we're not able to move through a full range of motion to get in and out of full flexion, full extension, full external rotation, full internal rotation. And this happens through habits that we have, the way we sit, the way we stand. We carry a bag on one shoulder. Pregnancy is a big one. Carrying a baby on one hip, carrying a bag on one shoulder, holding a phone with your shoulder to your head. There's all sorts of different reasons, and another reason is how you train, how you work out, the kind of exercises you do, because that changes the strengths of muscles. Think about that for a second. That changes the strengths of muscles, because what we need in order to be in a good dynamic posture is to be able to get in and also out of positions. And that is kind of crucial to the body because the body is not fixed into any one position. It's dynamically moving between positions. So if we change the strength of muscles and we create strengths in one area, we must also have to create the same strengths in the other areas. But that's not what happens. And that's really a problem for our bodies. And that's also what happens when we are sitting down too much. We create tightnesses in certain areas. And that really does become problematic for us, for our bodies, because see where there's that, at the top there, we've got the head, and then we've got the green line, and the green line is the center of our mass in the frontal plane. So in what's in front of us and what's behind us. And if our head is forwards of our center line, it creates a torque, which our brain has to then change which muscles are contracting in order to stop us from face planting. Now, in this case, we've got a head that's forward, We've got a pelvis that's tilted. It's tilted down at the front and up at the back. You can see the blue arrow there, the little blue arrow at the pelvis. And then the red arrow at the back is indicating that the back of the pelvis is going upwards. And the muscles in the back of the leg, those are going to be taut. They're going to be lengthened. So you know how you're always hearing of runners saying, oh, I need to stretch my hamstrings because they're tight. Well, go back to what I said first, which is the orange writing at the top. Why are my calves tight? Well, they're not tight. They're taut. It's sensation that you're feeling, and you're deciding what word to give that sensation. Or maybe you're not deciding that word. Maybe somebody told you that that feeling is tightness and you need to stretch it. But as I said, if the sensation is actually taut, not tight, and taut means already stretched, that means that stretching them is the wrong thing because they're already stretched. I hope that makes sense. Now, where I've got the arrow at the bottom of the foot there, I've got a little pink arrow, and it's facing downwards, it's pointing downwards. The writing on the left says the calves push the foot down to stop me from face planting. So if my weight is forwards of that green line and I'm not falling, that must mean that something is holding me up. Now remember, the body operates on a system of lever actions. So what I have to do here is, to stop myself from falling forwards, I actually have to push my feet down. Now in pushing my feet down, the muscles that do that are the muscles in the back of the leg, the calves and the hamstrings. The hamstrings pull the pelvis down and the calves push the foot down, which stops me from falling forwards. Okay? Because it's my brain's job to keep me balanced, to stop me from falling forwards and face planting. So if we start at the top, the head is forwards, the pelvis is tilted down at the front, up at the back. And that means that my whole body is going to be leaning forwards of my center line. That means that something has to hold on to me. That ends up being my calves. So your calves are constantly being contracted to stop you from face planting forwards. That is why, firstly, you're feeling this, what you're thinking is tightness, it's actually tautness. And it's more than likely occurring because of what's going on above. Now, if you keep stretching that, you keep stretching, what are you going to end up with? Well, you're going to end up with even more tautness and length into those tissues, because we're not just stretching, in fact, we're really not stretching muscle. What we're actually stretching is fascia. And the fascia is really important because that's what holds you up. And if you keep stretching that fascia, it keeps getting longer and longer, and it actually tears, and it tears quite easily. It tears when it's being held under tension for a long time, or when it's being held under an extreme amount of tension. It's very good at doing its job. The problem is that because of the posture that you're finding yourself in, it's having to do its job all the time, which it's not supposed to do. It's supposed to get rest. And if you've ever worked long hours, you'll know how it feels. Imagine your boss coming in and saying to you, hey, I know you've already worked 16 hours, but you need to work another 24 hours without having a break. You'd have a cosmic freak out. You wouldn't want to do it, and you wouldn't do a very good job. And that's really what's occurring with your fascia here and with your calf muscles. They're getting fatigued. They're not tight. They are taut. And stretching is going to make it even worse because they are already stretched. Now, what we do with the sling method is we address every single part of the body. We get the head back. We get the pelvis into a better position to take the strain off the fascia and the muscles that are actually contracting to hold on to the fascia. And that relieves the tension, it relieves the stress, the strain that's placed onto these muscles and the fascia. It relieves that tension because we've brought everything back into some kind of stasis, some kind of happy medium. And that is really changing the strength between the working muscles and the different parts of the body. We're bringing it back into some kind of harmony, a stasis, a balance between the way that our muscles in certain areas are tight and the way that other muscles are taut. Now, what we don't want to do is start stretching even areas that are tight. And there are areas that are tight. There are. The problem is that stretching really does damage the soft tissue, period. It damages that soft tissue and it tears it. So what we need to do is we need to change the nervous system. We need to affect the nervous system. This is all affected by the brain, by the nervous system, the communication with the brain. So you can't stretch your way out of this. What you end up doing is creating a new problem. So you must not stretch. You must not stretch. Remember, this is a nervous system issue. This is not a localized muscular issue. This is a global body nervous system issue that needs addressing by addressing the entire system. Okay, so you can't stretch your way out of this. It doesn't work that way. And if you try and do that, you will literally just cause yourself more problems because, like I said, stretching damages the soft tissue, it damages the nerves within those soft tissues, and you're not redistributing the load when you stretch. You're not addressing the strength imbalances that are there that are affecting the posture and is causing these situations to occur in the areas that you're feeling it and also in other areas that will be affected, because it has to be a whole body situation. It can't just be one small part of the body, because that's not how the body works that way. Okay, so just remember, whenever you think, oh, something's tight, it isn't tight, it's actually taut. What you're feeling is sensation, and you're deciding, or you're being told by somebody else what that sensation is, which is wrong. It's not tightness, it's tautness.